Welcome back to the 12 noon slot. We've been having early morning slots for the summer. We'll be at 12 noon now all the way till next June. Hope you had a great summer, keeping active, keeping busy besides our walks. Hope you had a chance to do things on your own as well. All right, so today's topic is going to be on clinical research. So a simple question to the audience here today. So who takes prescription drugs? Just show a raise of hands here. Okay, pretty much everybody, not all. So who has been involved in a clinical research trial? Raise your hand. So we have a couple of hands going up there too. So if it wasn't for clinical research trials, there would be no new prescription medications. It's a long haul between getting the compound approved through clinical trials and getting to the pharmacy. So without any new trials, there'll be no new medications. So let's just talk about that. Many drugs are found by accident in the lab by scientists, but most are not. Most are found when there's a disease or a process, the scientists create a drug to fix the problem. And that process takes a long time to go through to get to your pharmacy shelf. There are 4 basic phases. Let's just go through them if we can. Phase 1 is called proof of concept. Does this drug cure this problem? That's often done in test tubes, lab animals, and occasionally some volunteers, human volunteers. Phase 2 is safety. That's to see, is a little bit of drug safe? Is more drug safe? Is a lot of drug safe? Again, that's done in very few humans, mostly animals. The third phase is a more common one that we do here at Doylestown Health in a lot of practices as well, and that's the phase 3, and that has to do with checking efficacy or effectiveness and safety. That's done in tens of thousands of patients, generally around the world. Multiple research sites, many volunteers. Those are the ones that are most effective getting the FDA to approve the drug. And the fourth phase is called post-marketing. That's where the drug is already out, already being used, but there are ways to channel information if there is a problem. Sometimes a drug has been on the market for several years and they finally collect more data because there's more people using it, that is a problem. Either it's not effective or it's not safe. So those are the 4 phases. Okay, so who are the players in the game? Let's just go through that. The first one is big pharma. That's the drug companies, pharmaceutical firms. They make the compound, they own the patent, and they have to prove to the FDA that it's safe and effective. There's also on the other end, patients like yourself working through doctors' offices and the principal investigators to take the compound. Another group, which we have at the hospital, for instance, is called an IRB, Institutional Review Board. They're made up of lay people like yourself. Typically, it could be lawyers, shopkeepers, bank tellers, could be also some scientists or teachers as well. They have to determine whether the protocol for the study is safe and ethically able to go forward for the people in their community. So they can put a kibosh on the study if they don't find it to be ethical. Another group is called the CRO, the Clinical Research Organization. They organize all of the things I just said between big pharma, the patients and subjects, and the IRB. The whole time being watched by the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration. All the T's have to be crossed, all the I's have to be dotted. Nothing is taken for granted. Safety first, and then determining whether the drug is effective as a second priority. So that's how all the people work together to make this happen. Let's talk about the patient for a second. Consent. The patient will receive lots and lots of papers to look at. They have to read it, sign it, and be comfortable. They have to be comfortable that what they're doing is safe. There are many people I found over the years that love to do clinical trials. And they must have a calling or something like that. But they want to help themselves possibly and future generations, maybe their children or their grandchildren. Because without doing the studies, as I said, there'll be no more drugs coming down the pike. And for many people, they're just too busy. There is a time commitment. Often it's 2 or 3 visits a year, maybe it's 2 or 3 phone calls per year just to follow up. And many trials are up to 5 years in length. But the patients are given, obviously, the free drug that they're being tested. And just to be sure, placebo. Okay, so what is a placebo? That's a pill that we use in trials that does not have the active compound. And as you may not be aware, probably half the people in the trial get a placebo. That's how science is done, to avoid any bias. So we don't pay people to be involved in a trial. Sometimes we pay for parking or gas or transportation or things like that, but they don't get paid to be involved. It's of their own free will to be involved. And again, drug trials take a long time, and then once the date is determined, the company has to sit down, the CRO and Big Pharma, and determine, is it going to go to market? Is it safe? Is it effective? And it's going to help people. Any questions about what I said so far? And those that raised your hand, you're all aware of what I probably said earlier as well. When I say the term double-blind, placebo-controlled, so does anybody know what that means? It's a lot of gop. Do you know what that means?
Sort of.
Sort of, okay. So what happens is that the patient, the doctor, the pharmaceutical company does not know if the person is on a placebo or the real drug, because otherwise there could be some built-in bias to the study, and that's not how science works. We all appreciate people that get involved in trials, again, for all the reasons we talked about. So to summarize, clinical research is very important to get drugs to market, and those of you who want to be on the cutting edge or part of helping the future generations, we appreciate your being involved. Any questions? Does this change your mind? Yes, sir.
A drug that's been approved in Europe, does a doctor have any access to it?
No, it has to be approved by the FDA. So to be prescribed in the United States, they have to go through special tests on this side of the pond before the patients in the United States can get it. But as you may be aware, people can get drugs on their own outside the U.S. Yes, sir.
How long does it take after a drug's been approved to get to the market to get to us?
Yeah, everybody hear that question? How long does it take to get to market? It often takes years, and that's part of the problem. So if there's a glitch in one of the trials in the first year, that can set things back sometimes months or years on the back end. So typically it's probably between 1 to 10 years from developing a compound, but sometimes 2 to 5 years after the studies have been done. That's a great question. Yes, sir.
Some people might be concerned about how much does it cost them through insurance or whatever if they're involved in a study. What happens with that?
Sure. We typically don't get insurance companies involved unless there is a test as part of the trial that has been prescribed by your physician. But anything else that's being done, any other kind of tests, particularly lab work, that's all covered by the trial, all covered by the CRO's budget.